Hi, Facebook friends and family. Thank you so much for joining us today on our little Busy Blonde show and AMCAP.
Hi, Facebook friends and family. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You remember I told you about the feedback on the phone?
So anyway, I'm Martha Bennett with the Busy Blonde team. I'm the team lead and listing agent, and we have wanted to do videos for quite some time, and they have these amazing programs now that let us do this. So, and Clifton is one of the lenders that we use, and he likes to do it too, and he's learned a lot about these videos and taught us so much. And I was getting some calls and texts from my friends that were telling me that they want me to show my personality more. I'm not real good at scripting. I'm not really good at being told how to and what to say. I just don't work that way, because especially when it comes to real estate, I've been doing this for so long, and it's my favorite topic of all time. I'm not a lender, so that's why we have Clifton, because we learn a lot of stuff from lenders every day, and they come up with new rules and regulations from the government all the time. And with all the hats that we wear as realtors, we don't have time to do both real estate and lending. So I'm going to turn it over to Clifton and let him tell us about what his week has been like and what he does. And Clifton,
Hey everyone, how's it going? Clifton here with AMCAP Mortgage. And thanks again, ladies, for having me on y'all's show. It's always a pleasure to do the show with y'all weekly. And hopefully we're bringing some amazing content for your viewers and your clients. And we're definitely looking forward to helping them in the future. And hopefully with some of the new programs we're going to be talking about today, we can get a few more of those buyers into homes that they thought they probably couldn't get. So, and I know we're going to be talking about grant programs, but a little bit about me and my weekend. It's been a crazy week. I've been from in the past week, I've been from California to DC, learning about things in the mortgage industry to, help our buyers. I was actually in DC this past weekend talking to congressmen and representatives about the housing market and ways we need to improve the market to get more people like you into homes. So it was an exciting week. It was a lot of fun. Got to go in front of the White House and check out the sites. And I've been there a couple times, but this is my first time actually getting to go in front of the White House and check it out. So it was a lot of fun and seeing all the different sites. So we had a really good time. So, but now I'm back in Texas. So I'm ready to be home.
I'm glad that you go out to all those places to learn. So it keeps us all educated, and thank you for that. We're a little bit jealous that we get to go all this time.
Learning is fun, people. I tell everybody, the kids sometimes don't believe it, but I love learning. Learning's fun.
I love learning too. That's what's great about this business, is you never know it all.
Mm-hmm.
And now I want to introduce my awesome, amazing buyer's agent, Kristen. And,
hi, good morning.
Tell us about your weekend and what's going on with you, girl.
Oh, I've been really busy. There's a lot of buyers out there in the market now. Everybody's kind of getting their tax refund money and getting in the car, and it's nice weather out. So people are really excited and getting ready to buy. And I really am excited for the show today, because this is going to give buyers and first-time home buyers and really anybody in between good advice on what is out there for them regarding down payment assistance and different loan types. So I'm really excited for today's show, especially being a buyer's agent on the Busy Blonde team. This really helps my clients get some information about the whole loan process and what is out there for them.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is going to be a lot of fun. Nobody ever wants to talk about money until it's free money. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about grants for buyers, and, talk about people that we come in contact on a daily basis. And I want to introduce Morgan, our wonderful assistant, who actually listened to me saying over and over, I really want to do videos on Facebook. I really want to do videos on Facebook. And she made it happen. And I'm just so excited about that. And so I wanted her to explain what she does, how she is, what's been going on, and then also about our contest that's coming up.
I am super excited about the contest, but I'll get to that in a second. I'm Morgan, assistant to the Busy Blonde team. I like to do a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. This is kind of my favorite. All this is a lot of fun. It's unlimitless. And we're going to have some really good information on here today. I actually learned a lot just going over this stuff, just reviewing it for the video. So I hope y'all learn as much as I do. Also, the contest. Super excited about that. We've been talking about it forever. We're finally doing it. We have our first drawing today, and at the end of the show, we're going to do that. So make sure you stay tuned, and you're going to get a Amazon card. How much was that for, Martha?
$25 Amazon card today.
All right, guys, I am going to give it over to y'all. Y'all have a fantastic show.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Thanks, Clifton, Kristen, and Morgan. Like I said earlier, we are going to talk about free money today. We're going to talk about grants and tax credits and bond programs. So a lot of times buyers do not understand that there is a lot of things out there that can help you, because being a first-time home buyer, people don't realize how expensive it is with closing costs and down payment and everything. And so we really want them to understand that there are programs out there to help them so that they're not scared to come and check it out. And Clifton is our guru on these. And so we're going to let him talk about those. And so I think we want to first talk about the bond programs. Clifton, do you have anything? Tell us about those.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about, so they know that I am the guru, a little bit of past experience. We love helping our first-time home buyers, that we've made it a mission. I believe over the last 9 years, we've probably given away over $5 million in grants. And that's not including the tax credit. So there's tons of free money out there for people who are entitled to it, that need it, especially in a busy market like we're now, where sometimes sellers, and it's not just for down payment. We're going to be talking about these programs. It's not just for down payment. Sometimes it's for closing costs. Y'all seen it where sometimes, hey, a buyer saves up enough money, they have enough for down payment, but then they don't have enough for closing costs, or vice versa. So remember, these programs that we're going to be discussing today can be used for either one, and so there are ways to get people in with absolutely nothing. But most of the cases, you still got to come out of pocket something. So I don't want you to think that this is the catch-all, that these programs would get you in with absolutely no money. Sometimes in our busy market, you're going to have to come up with a little bit of funds, but in most cases, it's severely reduced by these programs that we're going to talk about. So we are going to talk about three main categories of programs today. The first ones are, of course, bond programs. And then I'm going to classify the second ones are city and county grant programs that are out there. And then we're going to talk about the tax credits, but the main one that we've been seeing a lot of traction with lately is the government bond programs. And I'll kind of go over a few of them with y'all. The main ones we have, there's three main entities, especially in this area that we work in, Harris County and all the surrounding counties around us. We work with SETH, which is Southeast Texas Housing. We work with TDHCA, which is the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, and then TSHAC, which is our Teachers, Firefighters, and Police Officers program as well. So there's.
This is my favorite one, Clifton.
Oh yeah. I love helping my veterans. That's our number one plan, is to always get them. We know they work a lot for us. They do a lot for us in our communities and in our country. And so we love helping our veterans, our police officers, our firefighters, and our teachers. Especially,
and the biggest thing is they're the most important jobs out there, but they get the least amount of pay. And I think that they deserve a lot more than they get.
Oh, yeah. Especially if they're dealing with one of my kids. I got a teenager. Oh my God! And the teachers who put up with her sometimes they definitely earn it, But besides that, but definitely that's another reason why they need them. Now these programs are, not a lot of lenders offer them, so you do have to be a preferred lender to offer these programs, and that's why a lot of times when they go to like big banks or some banks, they don't offer them because they don't sign up to do these programs. So you will see limited banks offering these programs because they are additional paperwork. There's different. Additional regulations and guidelines and programs and stuff that you have to put in place to know these. So that's why you see some banks that just are not educated with offering all the programs that we're going to offer. But we've been doing them for over 10 years. We know them like the back of my hand, how to do everything. So now the bond programs is one of my favorite ones. And once they brought out these programs, they kind of eliminated some of the myths that y'all have heard probably in real estate. Have you ever heard that in order to get a grant program, you can't buy a foreclosure, or you can't buy a short sale, or they take months to close? That's some of the myths I used to hear all the time with all the regular DPA programs. There are some programs like that, which we'll talk about. Those are more some of the guidelines with the city and the county grants. But with these bond programs, there's no inspections required. Some of them, you don't even need to be a first-time home buyer. And they've got higher income limits, unlike some of the other programs out there. And I'll give you an example. Like a family of three who live in Harris County, they can make up to like $82,000 a year and still qualify for a program. And I know that's 150% of the area median income, which means if you're talking about the median income, that's a mass majority of people out there make less than $82,000 a year, which means just about everyone you talk to can qualify for some kind of program, you know. And but of course, you know, we always want to look at the pros and cons of each program. Some programs are better for teachers. Some programs are better for low income. Some programs are better for the lower income. Some are better for the higher income. And that's where you need a professional to kind of break down all those guidelines between them. Like if you're looking in Brazoria County, there's people who can make up to $113,000 a year and still qualify for a program as well. And these bond programs vary from amount. You can get them anywhere from 2% all the way up to 8% in assistance. Heck, and if you got an 8% in assistance, that's enough to cover your down payment and your closing costs to get in with very little money. So there's a lot they range from. So you
well,
got a question,
Clifton, one of the questions that I am thinking that buyers are thinking right now is, what kind of credit do I have to get these?
Okay. You don't have to have perfect credit by no means. I think they say the national average credit score is like 685 points, right? But you only need a 620 for most of these programs. You know,
wow.
So they have very low guidelines for it. Now we do loans down to a 580, but for the most part, we try to get people to 620. And the tax credit programs, there is no credit score limit. So you can come in here, if we got you approved with a 600 credit score, you'd still be able to get the tax credit program. You just may not be able to get one of the down payment assistance programs. Okay.
And Kristen, I know that I have done with buyers some of these programs, especially the CEF and the TSHAP. Right. Have you had any buyers recently or that you've worked with that's done any of these?
I have, and that's a good point to mention too, Cliff, the difference between down payment and the actual closing costs, because I get a lot of clients, buyers that don't understand the difference between the down payment and the closing costs. Okay. So can you kind of explain that to, you know, buyers when it comes to what the difference is and why are the names different? They think that closing costs should all be rolled into one.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there's actually three types that you'll see on your estimates a lot of times. You'll see your down payment, you'll see closing costs, and you'll see prepaid finance charges. Now, most people just lump prepaid finance charges and closing costs together. Now, your down payment is the amount that you have to put down. Let's use like an easy example, like say a $200,000 house. If you're getting an FHA loan, it's 3.5% down, which means you have to put $7,000 down. Well, the misconception is people think, well, I only need to buy a house with $7,000. Well, what about your insurance on the house for the first year? What about the appraisal on the house? What about your surveys, your title work, HOA dues, all those things, setting up your escrow account, which is your taxes and insurance on a monthly basis, you know, your loan fees, your title company fees. There's a lot more involved, and that's what your closing costs are. Now, on an average for most houses on a $200,000 house, you're going to see somewhere between 3 to 5% in closing costs. Just matters on what the taxes and insurance and things that you choose to get out there are. And so a lot of times when you're coming up with the house, don't think of just down payment. You got to think of that closing cost. So let's use a 4% example for closing costs. So I have to come up with 3.5%, which is $7,000 for my down payment. And I have to come up with 4% for my closing costs. You know, that's $8,000. So you're talking about, you know, $15,000 you have to come up with. And a lot of times buyers may not have $15,000. They can afford to make their monthly payment. They can afford, you know, when they go out and they rent a house and they're renting this house for like $2,000 per month, they're putting their first month's down and their second month's in as a deposit. So they're coming up with $4,000 to rent a property. Well, guess what? With these grant programs, sometimes you can get in with that $4,000. We'll use the down payment assistance, like a 5% grant, which would come up with $10,000, and then you only need $5,000 to buy the house. Well, now you get your realtor to negotiate maybe $2,000 in closing costs, and you get into a house with $3,000. You know, so that's kind of how they work. You know, and so they can vary back and forth. If a person qualified for the 8% grant, like I said, that's $16,000 right there. Well, guess what? That's enough to cover their down payment and closing costs. So the way that I always tell buyers to think about is think of it as just cash to close. What is my total cash to close? And then whatever I get from the program, whatever the seller's willing to pay, that's going to leave the minimum cash to close amount that I need to come out of pocket. And those are the numbers you always want to go over with your realtor and your lender, so you know the exact amount that you have to come up with. And, and I said, we try to minimize that as many ways as we possibly can. Yeah,
that's one of the biggest problems I think that buyers have out there is that they do need somewhere close to $20,000 to buy their first house. And especially with our prices around here, you know, we're over 200 usually for getting into your first house. And so we have a lot of buyers that get scared. And so these are something that should help you to understand. I mean, I've had many clients do these lately. And then one of the things I just wanted to ask you about is, I know that with some of these grants and programs that the buyer has to watch a show or take a class and do some stuff like that. So tell me a little bit about those, because I know that, you know, when people get to talking and buyers start talking to friends and stuff, I think people get really scared of what they're, you know, about to get into if they do get one of these programs. So tell me a little bit about what they have to do on that end.
Okay, well, the great thing is if they get an awesome agent like you, you're going to educate them. So that's part of the class right there. Secondly, they get an awesome lender, whether it's me or someone else. They need to have their lender explain a lot of stuff to them. They should walk them through the entire process. But these buyer education classes are there exactly to do exactly what they say, to educate them. Not all of them require a buyer's education class, but most of them do. And most of them are done online now. I remember when I first started doing these, they would have to sometimes go to 2 Saturdays for 8 hours. That's not really the case anymore. In most cases, there's 8 hours of education required on a lot of these programs, but now they allow it to be done online, and they do have them in English and Spanish. And they can do like an hour a night for 8 days. And we normally don't suggest that they do the education until they get a house under contract. And then we'll send them to the right place to do it, because each grant program has a different place that they require education. So I've had a few people come to me that they found a place online, they did the 8 hours, then they got in contract, and then they had to redo the 8 hours because where they took the class wasn't acceptable for that grant program. So you want to make sure once you get find an awesome realtor, we know one. 2, get a pre-approved for your loan, and find out which programs you qualify for, then sign up for your class. Because once you know where you're going to buy, what your income limit is, and which program to use, then you know which class to take. And it's not a big rush on that. Like I said, they can do it an hour a night, or say 30 minutes a day for 2 weeks, and it takes, the 4 weeks to close on a house. So they have plenty of time to get it done. But those classes are very educational. They kind of go through things like, what's a mortgage? What's an escrow account? What's all involved in an appraisal? What's all involved in an inspection? These are things that we're explaining to them throughout the process, but sometimes people like the power of a third party just to get it from somebody else that's not their realtor or lender. They just want to listen and learn, and they give some really, really good education on these buyer education classes. I've actually suggested them, there's a few places you can do them online that are free, that doesn't cost you any money, that are done in like 2 to 3 hours sometimes. Sometimes they're a good place for people just to watch and learn about the thing to ease their tension. Like you said, some people are scared. Buying a house is not scary. Not owning a house these days is, because that's a lot more uncertain and it costs you a lot more money. So that's my thought on it.
Kristen, I know that that's a really good information about these classes. And, I don't ever usually talk to my clients about what they're all doing unless they ask me questions. And one of the things we know, I'm sure Kristen will back me on this, is that no buyer likes to ask questions. They think that their questions are dumb, because we talk a lingo that not everybody understands. And so you have any experience like that you want to share on that, Kristen, with any of your buyers?
Yes, I do. I get this all the time. I get where clients are apologizing to me for asking these questions, and I say, you should never apologize. This is my job to educate you. So this is something that we get all the time, and don't ever feel like any question is a dumb question, because this is your life, this is your family, this is your money. And we want you to make sure that we are educating you the whole time through the whole process. So, we really appreciate all these questions, and it just helps us better assist you the more questions we do get. And my clients will let you know I'm never scared to talk. So come on and bring on all the questions, because I actually enjoy getting to know each of my clients and their families and all of their concerns. So never an issue to answer these questions that we get.
That's one of the things I love about Kristen is we are definitely both, we really get invested with our clients, and that's one of the things they love, and that's why we get referrals, is because we're not just here for the money. We really love our clients and love doing work for them and answering for them. And Cliff, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no worries. I was going to say, there is one dumb question, Kristen. You know what that one dumb question is? I always tell my clients this.
What?
What is that?
The one you don't ask.
Yeah. That's
a
true.
good one.
You
That's
know,
a good one.
and it's one of my mottos I tell my clients: the question you don't ask, and that's where I've seen a lot of people's frustration as, because they have questions and they don't ask. And one of my mottos I tell my clients that the only question that's dumb is the one you don't ask, because if you leave here not knowing something, it's your fault, not mine, because we're here to answer those questions. That's why you hired us. And so it frustrates me when they don't ask and then they go to Google, and you know how right Google is all the time. You know,
Or
so
Zillow.
yeah, exactly. Go to your professional. That's what we're here for. So it's funny when they don't ask the questions that I read this online, and I'm like, man, that guideline was from 5 years ago. It changed, 10 times since then. So get with your professionals, ask your questions.
In this market, it's scarier to have the unknown than just to go ahead and ask those questions. So I feel like everybody's a lot more comfortable when they know exactly what's going on and why things are happening and the whole entire process.
Yeah. So I know we talked about the bonds. I know they want us to get into the other city grants, which I want to make sure I mention those as well. So
That's what I was just about to tell you.
Perfect. Yeah. So, but guys, keep in mind, I know this. Remember, this is a live interactive show. So keep in mind, we'll be watching this blog. So if you have questions on any of the SETH programs, TDHEA or TSHAC, those are the bond programs. Ask your questions down below, and I'll answer your questions with a video once you ask them a little bit later on today. So keep your questions coming. I know this is a hot topic. People want to know about these programs. So just make sure you comment down below, and we'll make sure we get your questions answered. All right. Now, the other programs, this is where the big grants come in. Now, I'm sure there's people out there saying, hey, Cliff, I've heard there was like grants for like $40,000. The most I ever got a client, I'd say it was kind of crazy, was we got her $60,000 worth of grants plus a tax credit. Plus, I remember this is back when they had the 8,000 one. She got like a $15,000 grant from one place, a $45,000 grant from another place, an $8,000 tax credit plus a $2,000 yearly credit. It gets crazy sometimes. They're not always available to do that. So keep in mind, you'll hear these one-off stories. That doesn't mean everybody will qualify for them. So, of course, when you get with your realtor and your lender, we're going to tell you exactly what you do qualify for. Now, some of the big city grants are like around us. Is the city of Houston has a program, Baytown, the Galveston, Texas City. They range from $4,500 all the way up to $40,000. Now, where these programs are different from the bond program is that these grants do come with a better interest rate, unlike the bonds, which sometimes have a higher rate. Because the way that the bonds work is they give you a slightly higher rate over the life of the loan, and that's how the government gets the money back for them, right? But the city grants are grants that you never have to pay back so long as you keep the house for so long. But where the problem with these ones are, and these are where you hear a lot of the myths come from, is like, hey, Cliff, the bond programs take 30 days to close. Can I get one of these $40,000 loans, grants, and can I get it in 30 days? And the short answer to that is no. The reason is these programs are designed for the houses that are in excellent condition, that you have to be low income. Like, for instance, City of Houston's program, on their normal one, they're $19,500. A family of four can't make more than $57,000 a year. So if they're really low income, below the area median income, they may qualify for one of these larger grants. And they do have to be first-time home buyers. And so that's where the difficulty of these come in. And basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, in this heavy sellers market, we haven't seen a lot of these as much. And the reason is because they do take 60 days to close. So long as the seller's willing to give you enough time and the house is in excellent condition and you're low income, this may be a great program for you. And we still offer those today. We do have a few people taking advantage of them. It's just that, the way the market is, it's a little bit harder to get those ones under contract. So keep in mind, you can't use these ones on foreclosed properties, short sale properties, because if those houses don't pass their inspection, then they don't give you the money. And then getting the seller to give you 60 days plus repair everything, that sounds like a really tough thing to do, right, ladies? Especially in this market, So that's kind of like how those grants work. And then there's the county grants, which are the exact same way. Like Montgomery County has a $14,000 grant. Missouri County has a $5,000 grant. And Harris County, you can get up to a $23,000 grant, $23,800 it is. But keep in mind, these are programs that are available, and each and every person, we need to make sure that they qualify because they have a little bit more guidelines. They're a little bit harder to qualify for than the bond programs. But that's why people love the bond programs, because you can get those suckers closed in 30 days. There's not a lot of drama. The house needs a little work, especially after the big flood. You're going to run into a few properties that need a little bit of work here and there. you can use some of these programs on different things. So that's why some people don't use these ones as often, but they're a really good program if they can qualify. So y'all have any questions on those programs, ladies?
No, I just wanted to know, how does somebody come by getting some of these grants?
Okay.
Especially when you were talking about that lady that got $65,000 in grants, or $60,000 in grants.
Okay.
I'd just like to know how that happens.
Well, I'll give you an example. Like there's different programs, and sometimes you can combine them. Like certain low to moderate income areas in Houston, for instance, qualify for more funding. And sometimes there's multiple grants in different ones. Now, in order for a person to get multiple grants, in which we're going to talk about the tax credits in a little bit, there's a person that can qualify for a grant, and then they qualify for another grant, and they qualify for a tax credit. But what you're doing is you have to have a lender that knows all three guidelines, right? So it's like sometimes a person can qualify for one, but not the other, you know? In a perfect storm, a person can qualify for several different programs all at the same time and then get them all. And so long as the lender knows how to package them all together, right, then you can get to closing. So it can be a difficult thing sometimes. And so long as, so long as you're given enough time to do it and the borrowers follow your lender's instructions, things go smoothly.
Absolutely. I think that that would be a lot of fun to get one of those, but I also probably believe that takes a lot of education on the lender's part to know how to do these.
Yeah, and it's not just the lender. You got to have staff. Like my processors have been trained. My team's been trained. We've been doing them for years. So sometimes it's a little, and even for us, sometimes there's some drama and they take a little bit extra paperwork, because just like it's the city and the county, how often do they change their guidelines? All the time. I always say the only thing that stays the same in real estate is change. You know, so, but the good thing is we've have experience. So every time they change something on us, we kind of get with the flow and we fix it and figure it out pretty quickly. But there's always some kind of guideline change. But we're professionals at it, so we're used to it. So
that's great. And then I know the last thing that you had on your list of wonderful programs that you guys use is tax credits.
Yeah, we saved the best for last.
Yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. Now, tax credits by far are the best program in the world. And the reason why, and I literally tell everybody, if your lender, if you qualify for this program and your lender doesn't offer it to you, they're robbing you, because this is free money that generally does not have to be paid. You don't have to get a grant program with it, which means you can get a super low interest rate. You know, you can get a good interest rate and a tax credit. And a tax credit, basically what it says is the government is going to refund, and I'll tell you the examples is there's Seth, there's TSHAC, and TDHCA. They offer these tax credits. And the way that a tax credit works is the government says, hey, if you're a first-time home buyer, and you do have to be a first-time home buyer in these ones, which after this thing, remind me later, we'll talk about what is a first-time home buyer requirement, right? If you're a first-time home buyer and you meet the income limits for your area, like I said, in Harris County, where we're primarily at, if you make less than $82,000 a year and you're a first-time home buyer, well, guess what? You qualify for this tax credit. And the way it works is the government is going to refund generally anywhere between 30 to 50% of the interest you pay on your home back to you on your tax return, up to a $2,000 a year tax credit, which is a savings of $166 a month. So keep in mind that right there is a major thing. $2,000 a year. So the average first-time home buyer keeps their house 8 to 10 years. So that's $16,000 to $20,000 in free money that you get back on your tax return. And who likes extra money on their tax return? Me. We all like that, right? That's basically what it is. And then by using that $2,000 tax return credit, do you know if you applied that towards principal every year, you'd pay off your house 10 years faster? And not only did you earn $20,000, you'd probably save another $40,000 in interest over the life of the loan. So it's an amazing product, and lots of people qualify for them. Easy qualification. Takes our team 2 days to get you registered for it, and like generally a couple hour buyer's education class, and you're ready to rock and roll. Super easy product to get, and you definitely don't want to avoid it. So I've actually saved several deals with this program. I've had buyers come to me and they're like, they couldn't get approved with their lender, or their realtor brought me a deal and they got turned down from another place because they have income that they can't source or they can't prove. And this tax credit is considered income. So it actually lowers a borrower's debt ratio, which allows them to qualify for more of a house, especially in this competitive market. or if there's income we couldn't use, this can be used as income to help reduce that debt ratio to get them into a house that they thought they couldn't get previously. So it's a really cool program. I can talk about this all day long.
Yeah, oh no, I understand. That's how we feel about real estate. We love it. So let's wrap it up with the answer to your question about what's required to be a first-time home buyer or to get the FHA loan. Well, a lot of people have a misconception about this one.
Oh yeah, FHA loans. You don't need to be a first-time home buyer to get an FHA loan. I hear that all the time. Anyone can buy buy a house on an FHA loan. You can buy 10 houses on FHA loans so long as you generally have sold your other loan that was on an FHA loan. Sometimes it gets a little complicated having 2 FHA loans, but that's for another show. We'll talk about that. But you don't have to be a first-time buyer to get an FHA loan. And all the programs that I just talked about can be used on conventional loans, USDA loans, VA loans, and FHA loans. So you can use them on all loan types. And in order to qualify as a first-time home buyer, a lot of times people are like, hey, Cliff, I bought a house 10 years ago and I sold it 5 years ago and I've been renting since. Well, you're a first-time home buyer. The definition of and I wish they would actually change this terminology. I would say first-time home owner. So let's use that terminology. Because I'll tell you a couple examples. Because if I haven't been on title to real estate in the last 3 years, I'm considered a first-time owner. And where the misconception is where sometimes someone got married, they've never owned a home, and they got married in Texas community property state, and your spouse owns a house, if they've owned title to a house in the last 3 years, you are no longer a first-time home buyer. So kind of keep that in mind too. So we get that a lot. Well, my husband owns a house, but I've never owned a house. And so I'm a first-time home buyer, and the answer is not in Texas. So as long as you haven't been on title to real estate or you or your spouse in the last 3 years, you're considered a first-time buyer.
Cool. Yeah, that's one of those that a lot of people, when I get buyers, I'm sure Kristen, when we get buyers, they say, well, I am a first-time home buyer. What kind of credits do I get for that?
Yeah.
Like, just because it's called a first home buyer, an FHA first-time home buyer loan does not necessarily mean that you're going to get
exactly.
These
and I've
programs we've been talking about is what's going to help you to get those.
Exactly. And I've had people where they do this. They're like, hey, Cliff, I'm a first-time home buyer. I'm like, great. Let's see if you qualify for a program. They're like, don't I automatically qualify because I'm a first-time buyer? I'm like, no, I'm looking at your tax return. You make $300,000 a year. You don't qualify for anything. Keep in mind, not only do you have to be a first-time home buyer, you have to buy where the program's available. The program has to have available funds, and you have to meet the income requirements. And sometimes I'm sad to say, I'm sorry that you're not poorer than what you think you are, that if you make too much money, you don't qualify for programs every time. So just kind of keep that in mind. You have to also meet the income requirements. And I've run across that with my teachers, firefighters, police officers sometimes. And it saddens me that they come in sometimes and between the two of them, they make too much money. And sometimes they don't qualify for homes, which there's a couple programs, though, that I didn't mention on the bond programs that we go, it's called off of a 1003 income, which means, say, for instance, one borrower makes $80,000 and the other borrower makes $30,000. Now they make $120,000 and they make too much money. So long as we leave one person off the loan application and the $80,000, they make enough money by themselves to afford the house, they may be able to qualify for a program. So we look for multiple avenues to try and help someone qualify for, if they're entitled to it, if they want it, we try to make it work for them. So, and I see there's a tab at the top, guys. Don't forget about our contest we're having at the end of the video. So I hope y'all see it up above or down below. I don't know.
I see it up above. Yeah, Morgan, and we have been, ever since we've been doing this for the last month, we've been talking about the contest, and today's the big day that we're going to have the contest revelation and see who wins the Amazon gift card. And so I guess that's about time. Morgan, tell us about that.
Hey guys, yeah, Martha, I will be right up there to help you with that. But yeah, I just wanted to say we're definitely doing the contest. Just so y'all know, it's below, not above, but we got it. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to go up there and help Martha, and bye.
And while she does that, Kristen, why don't we close it up, and y'all just say what your closing words are before we get to the contest.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Cliff, for all the great info. We really appreciate all your insight and your continuing education. I know you stay busy just educating yourself so you can better educate us and our clients. And we really appreciate you taking the time to do this for us weekly. And we really enjoy all the information and just really showering our clients and customers with all this good info.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for always having me. And it's always awesome working with you ladies. So we really appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys too. We really have enjoyed the way you take care of our clients. So Morgan has not come up here yet. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And so basically, I just want to talk about this, that we've had people that have commented on commented on our show, or have sent us a private message, or have shared. That's how we got all of these people that are in here on these pieces of paper, and we added them all on a piece of paper and put them in here to draw for the Amazon gift card. So I think, Morgan, are you going to draw, or you want me to draw?
Oh, no, you definitely got to do the honors.
Well, I'm going to draw in our beautiful little thing here. Okay. All right, let's see. Well, isn't this funny? Brittany Moreno, she used to be our intern. Well, she still does help us out. But oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So Brittany Moreno, you have won the $25 gift card, and I hope that you will come and pick it up really soon. So everyone, I just want to say thank you so much for all of your help, all of your followings, and, you know, all of the information that you've given us. I know that this is crazy. You know, doing live, Facebook Live, I used to always think people are crazy doing that. I didn't understand what it was that we could do, but I really wanted to share how the Busy Blonde team truly cares about our clients, and we want you to see our personality and let you know who we are, so that, you know, you come to us kind of understanding who we are already and knowing that we truly care for our clients. We want to educate our clients. We don't want to just make a paycheck, and that's the reason why we help. We don't get you under contract and not talk to you till the day of closing. We educate you all along the way, and we have all kinds of people on our staff that help behind the scenes, and so you are taken care of from the beginning to the end. And please give us a call. I have my phone number on here right now, and we just really appreciate everything, and have a wonderful day today. Bye.